Hi friends, thank you for joining in today. Could you please verify in the chat window that you have if you're able to see me and hear my voice clearly, and that'll be great. Also, please refresh in case you want to see the chat window. So we'll get started in just a few minutes. Just wanted to check if everything is all right first. So am I clearly visible and audible? Again, Karthik, this live session is on YouTube, right? So please try to. This is right here. 1 second. Cool. So everything is all right, right? Good. So we'll get started and we'll try to do a. So as usual, we'll try and do a 60 to 90-minute session. Based on the questions we have, we'll try and answer as many questions as possible, right? This is a general Q&A. This is not a purely technical session of any sort. So we'll try to focus more on general questions. Of course, if time permits, we'll answer a few technical questions here and there. And please understand that since it's a public session, it's impossible for us in a 60 to 90-minute session to answer everything. So anything that we are not able to answer, apologies ahead of time. Please reach out to us at team@appliedaicourse.com, right? So that's one. Number two is some of our students have sent us emails we've got a lot of emails with some very good questions. We'll pick a few of them and answer them along with questions in the chat window, right? So please post your questions in the chat window. Our team is compiling questions and most popular questions. They're compiling it and sharing it with me. I'll try to answer as many as possible. Anything that we are not able to answer, always feel free to shoot an email to team@appliedaicourse so that we can answer even your questions beyond the live session. Okay, cool. So let's get started. Okay, it's already 7, right? So why don't we jump into the session itself, right? Again, please post your questions in the chat window. Our team is compiling them. Most popular questions we'll answer as many as possible. Okay. So first, let me dive into a few questions that we got from over email. So this is from Satish Agarwal, a very good bunch of questions. Again, similar questions have been asked by other students also. So this is more about pursuing PhD and masters, right? So a couple of questions there, right? So his question is very specific. He wants to get into a research-based role in a top product-based company. So this is like Google research or Facebook AI research or some of the equivalent or Google DeepMind, etc. So most of these hardcore, non-applied, more fundamental research teams typically hire very, very strong PhD candidates. There are a few master's candidates also there, but most of them are like phenomenal master's degree students, phenomenal PhD students. Again, just because you have a PhD doesn't mean that you'll get into Google DeepMind or Facebook AI research, right? These are very, very competitive. The best of the best PhD students across the world get into these programs. I know people who have done PhDs from universities like MIT and Stanford who unfortunately did not make it to DeepMind or Facebook AI research. So they're very, very selective. Again, they're probably the most selective machine learning and deep learning teams in the world. These are fundamental AI research teams. On the other hand, if you're looking for applied research teams, like the team that I was part of, we were an applied science team. So we would be building machine learning teams. We are always studying the cutting edge, but we are mostly responsible for applying those techniques to real world problems. For those types of roles, you do not require a master's or a PhD. Like in my own team, when I worked at Amazon, we hired people just with bachelor's degree as long as they had the mathematical understanding, they had a deep understanding of machine learning and deep learning, and as long as they were good with programming. So if you want to join these applied research teams, you don't require a PhD. Bachelor's is sufficient as long as you have the skills. Master's is also good. You don't require a PhD per se. But if you want these core AI research teams, you need a PhD. Right? Core, fundamental AI research. Again, just because you have a PhD doesn't mean you'll get into these teams. These teams are highly selective. Now, the second thing is, it's a very nice question. A follow-up question here is, would a PG diploma, the 1-year PGD that we have from UOH, will it make me eligible for PhDs in good institute in India? So let me answer that. So if you want to go to good PhD programs in India, so you have Indian Institute of Science, you have Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, you have Chennai Mathematical Institute, you have IIT Bombay, you have IIT Madras, and a few other IITs, Right? These are some of the best research institutes for machine learning and deep learning in India. Again, IIIT Hyderabad has some very good research folks. So these are some of the top research centers or research universities in India. Most of them, the admission criteria is typically a good gate rank followed by an interview. The 1-year PG program from UIH will give you all the skills and knowledge to impress in the interview. Right? For example, at Indian Institute of Science, you have to get a good gate rank, and then you have an interview. You have an interview panel where professors interview you before you join the program. So if you have completed the 1-year PG program from UIH, you will have all that academic rigor to be able to perform better in these PhD interviews, right? But you have to crack GATE and then the interview process. That's how you get into top PhD programs at top universities in India. So that was a question from Satish. So, okay. So let's go into other questions that you guys are posting. Very popular question, very often asked question that we got is from, so one of the students who asked this is Ravi. His question here is, what is the difference between the Applied AI course and the 1-year PG program with UIH? It's a very nice question. I think we try to explain it in other videos also. AIC's, the Applied AI course curriculum is fully industry focused. We don't care about what we should teach academically, right? It's fully focused on what we need to get you a job. And the curriculum itself is evolving based on industry needs, right? So it's a fully industry focused curriculum with a job guarantee program. And we're able to provide job guarantee because we are very confident about our course structure, our course assignments, the skills that you will learn and things like that. And we control the whole program. The 1-year PG program is industry focused, but it comes with academic credentials. So if you're interested in getting academic credentials, like a 1-year specialization, a postgraduate level specialization, the UIH program is more appropriate. But while it will be industry focused, where we'll cover all the important topics from industry, it will also be academic in nature. You'll learn more in-depth math from an academic standpoint. You'll have typical semester-like structure. You'll have courses with credits, right? You'll have a PG thesis. You'll have midterm exams, semester exams, and things like that. So it is a very academic structure to the course. While Applied AI course is, okay, you can complete assignments at whatever rate you want. You can finish the whole thing in 4 months or you can finish it in 12 months. But the 1-year PG program is a dedicated 1-year PG program with a proper academic course structure. As far as the course content and teaching style is concerned, I think there will be a lot of overlap between them. So I mean, I'm one of the primary instructors for all the courses in the PG program also. But we'll have additional instructors from industry, from some of the top research centers and some of the top product-based companies, and also professors from UIH who will be our co-instructors, right? But we always try to maintain an extremely high quality of teaching even in the 1-year program, 1-year PG program, right? Cool. So this is a very nice question from Kshitij, I'm sorry. It's by Kshitij Omar. So what's the placement assistance as part of the PG program, right? If you are already a student of the Applied AI course. So in the PG program, in the 1-year PG program, we are not able to provide a job guarantee because it is something that we conduct in collaboration with UIH, which is one of the government universities, right? It's under the central government, right? So no government university agrees because of UGC guidelines, they can't provide job guarantee or money back program. Right? So as part of that program, we cannot give job guarantee, but what we will do is at the end of your 1-year PG program, we'll try and conduct placements. We'll invite all the companies that we work with based on your performance in this whole program. Of course, if you get better performance, of course, more companies will be interested. So in this 1-year PG program, you get a proper certificate from the university, like your BTech degree or MTech degree. You get a proper certificate along with mark sheet. Right? So you get all the proper academic credentials. So we will share those with all of our recruiting partners and conduct some placement drives. Again, all of this may not be at the same time, but we'll try and help you over the next 6 months as part of our assistance to get you placed. But we are not able to give a job guarantee because as part of this program, we have to work with University of Hyderabad. All the assessment, everything is controlled by University of Hyderabad. They conduct the exams, they evaluate, they have their own standards, which we highly respect. Because they're a top research in university, right? So because we don't completely run the program on our own, we are not able to offer job guarantee there. But we want to assist, as part of applied AI course, we want to assist every student who is part of that PG program. I hope that answers your questions. Okay, so next question from Kiran Tarapatla. His question is, when is applied AI, so when is the 1-year PG program with University of Hyderabad starting? So the program itself, the 1-year program will start from early January and go on till end of December 2021. So as we mentioned in our announcement video, we will be putting out, the whole admissions portal or the application portal will be open mostly this week. We are just working with the University of Hyderabad to get that whole website approved by them. So mostly it will be this week or early next week. So as soon as that admissions portal is open, everyone who has filled the form, we have gotten thousands of students who filled the form showing interest in the PG program. But please understand that everybody cannot be accommodated. Okay, because we don't control the admissions process, the university controls it, right? So you'll have the admissions portal where you fill in all of your academic credentials, where you upload all your certificates, where you also upload all of your work experience details, and the university makes a call on whom they hire. But please understand that there are limited seats there and we cannot influence admissions in any way. Of course, if you already know machine learning, you will have some advantage there, right? But we have gotten thousands of students who filled in, and I think there will be a few hundreds of positions in the PG program. The exact number is yet to be decided by University of Hyderabad. When the application portal is published, you'll get far more details on that, right? But most likely you'll be able to apply mostly this week, worst case sometime early next week, right? Once the application process starts, the university will verify all your credentials, will shortlist candidates, roll out of admission letters to you. Once you're admitted, once you pay the fee, they'll also give you a student ID card. So it will be like a proper university setup, right? And your classes will start from early Jan and go on till December end 2021. So it's a 1-year proper PG program with 2 semesters, right? Okay, so this is from Prabesh. I think he's from Nepal. So what about the 1-year PG program for international students? Again, whether you are a non-Indian international student or a non-residential Indian living abroad, you can participate in this 1-year PG program. I think the course fee will be slightly different as per UGC norms, because UGC norms clearly say that students who are residing in India have a slightly different fee structure as compared to non-resident Indians abroad and non-Indian citizens abroad. So it's open to everyone, but the fee structure might be slightly different. Right? Again, that's because of the UGC norms. Cool. Okay, this is a very nice question. This is from Adesh Meena. We also got an email from him. It's a very nice question. So Adesh asks, I'm working as a data analyst and my current compensation is 4 lakhs. Could you please tell me what is my expected package? So very nice question, Adesh. So the packages typically are like this, right? In the industry, you have data analyst, you have data scientist, you have machine learning engineer, and then machine learning scientist. Those are typical roles that you will encounter, right? Sometimes machine learning scientist is also called as applied scientist. Then there is a research scientist. So typically compensations for data analysts are lower than data scientists. The compensation for data scientist is lower than machine learning engineer, or roughly same as machine learning engineers. The compensation for machine learning scientists and research scientists is more than machine learning engineers. And the gap can be significant. For data analysts, 4 lakhs is what some of the services companies and small startups offer. That's like the lowest, right? That's almost like the lowest, right? But my recommendation for you is you should improve your core data science and machine learning and deep learning skills. Try to move from a data analyst to a data scientist role. Because if you have more mathematical rigor, if you have strong case studies, and if you have a very strong GitHub profile and blog, you can easily move from a data analyst to a data scientist role, increasing your package anywhere from 50 to 100%. So if you're a data analyst now, 4 lakhs, if you're a fresher, again, if you're a fresher, 4 lakhs is the rock bottom, right? But you can easily grow up because you're already working in the field. You should try and pick up harder projects, build a very strong portfolio, and try to move to a data scientist role, right? There you can easily get compensations of 7 to 8 lakhs easily, even from smaller companies or services-based companies. Okay, cool. This is a very nice, completely different question from Mangesh Joshi. So his question here is, I have experience. 1 second, let me just check. Okay, so his question here is very interesting. So, okay, thankfully our team is collating all these questions. Okay, again, please understand that we can only answer a subset of them, and I'm trying to answer as many as possible, right? So, Mangesh has a question. He says, I have experience of 15 years in C++ programming, and I'm learning machine learning and AI right now. So, will hiring companies hire me? Mangesh, it's a very, very good question. So people like you, right? Most likely with 15 years experience in C++ programming, most likely you're at an architect level or probably a senior architect level, right? I've worked with people like you, and for people like you, you have to build on top of the experience that you have. Suppose if you're architecting C++ systems today, right? You have to go from architecting software systems to architecting machine learning systems, where there is certainly some software engineering, software architecture, system design, all of that. In addition to it, it has large amounts of, let's say, machine learning and deep learning stuff. For example, imagine with 15 years experience as a C++ developer, imagine you might join a startup, a services company, or a top product-based company building probably their search engine, right? Suppose if you join an e-commerce company and you want to improve their search engine, you have to build on top of all the knowledge you have in C++, in terms of object-oriented design, in terms of systems design. You have to build on top of it now and say, hey, I can do all this. This is something that I've been doing for 15 years. On top of all of this, now I also know machine learning and deep learning. So you have to build on top of your stuff, on top of expertise that you have, to take up architect roles for projects which have a significant component of machine learning and deep learning. That's the natural progression. Companies would love to hire people who are at software architect level, who know machine learning and deep learning, because there are very few such people in the market today. See, if you think about from, like when I was at Amazon, right? One of my biggest problems as a hiring manager was I wanted to hire phenomenal software engineers who also knew machine learning and deep learning. And that was a rare breed of people, because people who have been doing software engineering, who are very good with system design, low level design, all of that, they're like, okay, why should I spend time learning machine learning and deep learning now? Right? And people who have been doing deep learning, machine learning for the last 10 years, they're not very good with system design or low level design, because they've not built software systems from scratch. So if you are very well versed with machine learning and deep learning, and if you have a lot of, again, not just 15 years, anybody who has 7+ years experience or 5+ years of software engineering experience, if you're good with software engineering, whatever programming language you know, if you're good with low level design and high level design, try to learn machine learning, deep learning. There is a huge requirement of folks like that. And you typically go into something like an ML architect or a machine learning engineer type of roles, right? There is a huge demand for people like you. There is a huge scarcity of people also like you. Okay. So, okay, good. So next thing is, this is good. So Arindam, very good question that he's asking. So how is the current job guarantee situation due to COVID-19? I think we did a live session at the very outbreak of COVID, telling you that things could become bad and things like that, and how to get through this. So as compared to April and May, things have improved now. Over the last 1 to 2 months, we are seeing improvement as compared to April and May, because companies have realized that this COVID is not going to go anytime soon, and we have to start hiring people, right? So certainly there is an uptick in number of job postings, in number of companies hiring from us also. Number one. Number two, what we are trying to do now as part of Applied AI course placement cell is, we have some students who have career gaps, right? We have some students who don't have a very strong resume because their undergraduate marks are not good, or probably they don't have like phenomenal percentages in their bachelor's or master's or whatever it is. So one strategy that we are employing, which also companies love, is when we go to a hiring manager, earlier we used to share some resumes with them and they would shortlist candidates. Now we are doing the other way around. We are saying, why do you want to look at a resume? Let us conduct a test or give a task to all of our students. Let's see who performs best. Whoever does best, you can shortlist them and interview them. This is something that companies are liking more and more. The reason companies like this more and more is because now we are being fully, and they can set the question paper. We ask them to set the question paper. We say, if you don't have time, we can work with you and set the question paper based on what you want. And companies like this because we are being completely transparent with them, right? So more and more companies that we are working with, they're conducting either a test, which is a 1 to 2 hour test, or they're giving a task and saying, hey, you have to finish the task in 24 hours and submit your results. Based on that, they'll shortlist candidates. This is helping a lot of people who have career breaks, right? And I think this is a better strategy because it's purely meritocratic instead of just your resume, right? So certainly the job situation is improving. It is not back to the same level that we were in Jan and Feb. Surely we are not back to the same levels, but it is improving. And I hope that as companies realize that we are not getting out of this anytime soon, at least this will go on till mid to late next year, companies will ramp up their hiring, right? So we hope, and also the financial years, because most companies follow the US financial year structure, most companies we hope will start hiring more aggressively in the early parts of next year. Cool. This is very good. So this is a question from Deepu. These are very good questions. So Deepu asks, could you please tell if data structures and algorithms are important for a data science job? This is a very good question, Deepu. So let me tell you where they are important and where they are not important. For most data scientist roles, they are not very important. What is important for a data scientist role is, do you know SQL very well? Because you have to fetch the data from SQL, right? Very often. So do you know SQL very well? Number one. Number two is, can you program in Python? Basic data structures. You don't have to know some advanced B+ trees and all that. Do you know basic data structures? Do you know how to use a dictionary? Do you know how to use a list? Do you know how to use a set? Do you know how to use simple key value pairs? Simple data structures that are inbuilt in Python. Do you know how to use them? And do you know how to use data structures that are used in machine learning? For example, if you're talking about k nearest neighbors, you should know about KD tree. You should know about how locality sensitive hashing works, right? So these are basic data structures that are part of data science and machine learning itself. You should know those data structures very well, right? You don't have to be at a competitive programming level data structures and algorithms for top product based companies. You don't need that. We have some candidates who have interviewed for data scientist roles at companies like Amazon. Most of their interviews is some basic Python programming, some data manipulation using pandas, also SQL, and then programming related to machine learning and data science, not specifically data structures and algorithms. This is for data scientist role. For machine learning engineer role, it's slightly different, because machine learning engineer roles, they're mostly software engineering plus machine learning. Sometimes these roles are also called as software engineering with machine learning. Sometimes these roles are also called as research engineer roles. Like I used to work in such a role at Yahoo Labs long back, right? In these roles, you would be doing software development maybe 50% of your time, but your software development will be very much in line with machine learning and data science requirements. For such roles, typically candidates who either have a computer science degree or people who have software engineering experience are preferred for those roles. For those roles, you might have one round where they'll ask data structures and algorithms from a computer science perspective, because you either worked as a software engineer or because you have an undergraduate degree or a master's degree in computer science. So for machine learning engineers, it is certain there will be one round of that sort. For data scientists, no. For machine learning scientist roles also, there will be not much focus on it, because their focus is more on mathematical rigor. Do you understand the internal mathematics of optimization of Adam Optimizer? Do you know where it works? Can you explain every nitty-gritty details of it? Can you tell me where Adam doesn't work? Right? Those are the mathematical details that are required for machine learning scientist or applied scientist roles. Right? So if you're looking for a machine learning engineer role at top product-based companies, you would have one interview with core data structures and algorithms, and typically people with computer science background or software engineering background are preferred there. But for data scientist roles, data analyst roles, machine learning scientist roles, it's not that important. Of course, you have to know basic data structures inbuilt in Python. You have to know basic recursion. Look at this. See, at the end of the day, you should be able to write basic recursive programs. You should be able to use dictionaries, use lists. Okay, you should know how KD tree works in k nearest neighbors. You should be able to explain locality sensitive hashing, some basic concepts, not a competitive programming type mindset. Okay, cool. This is a nice question from Prithvi Ram. So his question here is, will the 1-year PG program be tough for somebody with 5-year experience, right? Can I complete the course along with my job? This is a very nice question, Prithvi. So when we were designing this whole 1-year PG program, we kept in mind, of course, we worked very closely with the faculty members at University of Hyderabad. One of the primary faculty members there was a dean of mathematics department. He is one of the primary coordinators from the University of Hyderabad side. He's a very senior professor. He's considered one of the best professors at University of Hyderabad who teaches applied statistics and applied mathematics. So he's one of the coordinators from the University of Hyderabad side. right? His name is Professor C.R. Rao, right? So Professor C. Raghavendra Rao. He's one of the coordinators and one of the signatories in our MOU, right? So when we were discussing with him, one major thing that came up was that the objective that University of Hyderabad wants to create, because they're a very socially oriented university, they want to create back, because they're a government university, they want to do social good. So they said that this should be accessible to all working professionals. So that's why the course structure will be like, okay, most likely, again, this is something that we're just finalizing, we're in the last stages of finalizing. So the course structure will be such that a working professional needs to spend about 10, maximum 12 hours, right? An average working professional should be able to spend 10 to 12 hours a week on this. So if you're willing to spend 10 to 12 hours a week, I think you're in good shoes. You can easily complete. And again, people like you with 5 years software engineering experience or any other work experience are very suitable for this, because you already have some experience. You already know how the world works. You already build systems, whether they are computer science systems or non-CS systems. You build these systems. Now, by pursuing this one-year PG program, you're learning what can be done with machine learning. And the hope is you'll take all these learnings to your workplace and combine the skills that you currently have with this. So somebody with 5 years experience is a very, very ideal candidate, right? So surely you will be one of the ideal candidates. And University of Hyderabad also, in their admissions criteria, they would be giving preference to people with experience, surely, and they also want to have the class in such a way that there's a diverse batch of people. They don't want everybody who is a fresher. They don't want everybody who is an experienced person. They don't want everybody who is a non-CS guy. So they want to have a varied set of students in the class, so that there is somebody who is a mechanical engineering student, there is somebody who is an electrical engineering student, right? So they want that variance in class, so that students also can discuss amongst themselves and come up with beautiful applications which they can implement as part of their thesis work. So cool. One second. This is another question from Hegde. He says, I am an MSc in statistics. After BSc, am I eligible for data science? Yes, why not? So if you already have a statistics degree, I'm sure you know a lot of concepts from a probability and statistics viewpoint. I'm sure as part of your undergraduate or graduate studies, you would have learned some mathematical optimization also. One thing that you need to improve on is this. Since you have already studied statistics, you should first pick up programming, become good at it, right? So if you already know statistics, pick up programming, become good at it. Equally importantly, try to apply the statistics that you learned, because most universities teach from a very theoretical standpoint, right? So try to apply that to real world problems, and you are a brilliant candidate for data science roles. You're surely a brilliant candidate as long as you can program well. You may not be able to program the way a computer science student might program, but you should be able to program using basic data structures in Python, basic classes that you have in Python, and you should be able to translate all the mathematics that you know, all the statistics that you know, to real world problem solving. So you're certainly a very ideal candidate, both for applied AI course and also for the one-year PG program. So one-year PG program is also something that might suit you very well, because you already know a lot of statistics. And of course, you will be eligible for this because you studied, as you mentioned here, you studied physics, chemistry, mathematics in your 12th class level. So you will be eligible for it for sure, right? And as I just mentioned, the University of Hyderabad Admission Committee wants to have students from wide backgrounds. So having some people from statistics is surely great, right? Okay, cool. So we answered the question from Prithvi. Okay. Very good, very good. So this is from Devdatta Sarang. So if someone has a 1-2 year experience in AI but wants to do an MTech in AI, what is your concern about doing MTech in AI after 1 or 2 year experience? Devdatta, I don't have any major concern, but only one thing that I would suggest you here is, if you want to do an MTech in AI, a proper 2-year program, try to do it from a top-notch university. Okay. So again, if you want to do a master's program, a 2-year master's program at any of the top IITs or research centers, even in University of Hyderabad, they all have GATE as their entrance examination criteria, right? So my only suggestion here is, if you with somebody with 1 to 2 years experience, it's perfectly okay to go do your master's degree. Not like in my class, right, when I was pursuing my master's at Indian Institute of Science almost a decade ago, we had a lot of people with 2 to 3 years experience. So that's perfectly all right. Don't worry about it. But you will have to spend considerable amount of time cracking GATE, because if you do not do it from a top tier university, that MTech degree is not very valuable. Okay, so please keep that in mind. If you do it from a top university, it's extremely valuable. Okay, cool. Very good. This is a question from Shubham Kumar. Very interesting. Again, I'm happy that our team is trying to get questions from a varied spectrum of questions from the larger pool. So Shubham asks, I am a ML tester in a product-based company. What should I do to become an ML engineer? Very nice question, Shubham. So as an ML tester, I'm sure you know about basic testing, how do you test your models, all of that stuff. So from being an ML tester, if you want to become an ML engineer, there are 2-3 things that you have to become better at. One, you have to become better at data structures, algorithms, and I don't know what your experience is from this, but you should certainly become better at software development. I'm sure you know a lot about software testing and you know about how to test ML models also. From ML tester to ML engineer. This is very true even from software testing to software engineering also. You have to become better at data structures, algorithms, and software engineering itself. For example, you should understand how to design classes. Right? Again, if you're an experienced professional, if you have 2+ years experience, you should be able to tell me basics of object-oriented design. Basics, not advanced stuff. Right? So you should become a better programmer and software developer for sure, number one. Number two, your understanding of machine learning algorithms and the breadth of concepts you know should increase. Which means you should know most of the major machine learning and deep learning algorithms. Again, you don't have to know to the same depth as a scientist, but you should know a wide. See, for a machine learning engineer, the breadth is very important, along with software engineering ability. So from a breadth standpoint, try to learn all the major algorithms that are used in the industry. Very importantly, try to implement these algorithms from scratch, right? Because for a machine learning engineer, implementation specifics are very, very important. For a machine learning scientist, the mathematical rigor is important. So my suggestion for you, if you want to go from an ML tester to an ML engineer, is become better at data structures, algorithms, and object-oriented design, number one. Number two, become better at the breadth of techniques, you know, and try to implement all these techniques very optimally using the data structures and algorithms that you're learning. Okay, that's one of the best strategies. And I'm sure if you talk to your team members and if you show your work, they'll surely move you from an ML tester to an ML engineer. Cool. Okay, very good. So this is by Basin with. His question here is, I have 7 years experience as a Java developer and my current compensation is about 14 lakhs per annum. Is it advisable to move to data science as a career? So Basin with, I can't say it's right or wrong. See, because you're a Java developer, you're making a decent salary. Now, my question for you is, if you're very passionate about software development, and if you are becoming better and better at object-oriented design, systems design, all of that stuff, you can just stick with software development itself, because there's a huge requirement for senior software developers and senior software architects, right? You can stick in that field and become really, really good at it, right? You should only look at data science as a career path if you think you're passionate about mathematics and you think you'll enjoy. You can watch some of our free videos. If you enjoy mathematics, if you enjoy applying that mathematics to real world problem solving, then data science is a lucrative career option. And people like you, as I was mentioning earlier, because you have 5+ years experience, you bring a lot of software development expertise to the table, right? Which is very, very helpful. So try to bring that expertise to the table and build your machine learning and deep learning skills on top of it. Then you could probably join as a senior machine learning engineer. Because for senior machine learning engineers, you need to know machine learning and deep learning, and you also need to know software development to a good extent, which you might already know because you have already 7 years experience. And you can certainly, if package is one thing that you're looking for, you can certainly go from 14 to 18 to 20 lakhs comfortably for a senior machine learning engineer, because I'm assuming your software development skills are pretty good. Okay, that's very doable. Cool. So let's go here. Okay, so this is from Santosh Kale. Okay, I have experience in banking sectors. I have expertise in retail as well as SME loans, small and medium enterprise loans. As banks are now using AI in building most of their products in risk and credit, what scope do you have after the course? Santosh, very nice question you asked. So, like for example, HDFC Bank in India has set up their own machine learning and data science division. Because they realize, again, some of these large corporate banks like HDFC have realized that they can leverage because they're sitting on a gold mine of data and they have so much of domain expertise in-house, right? So they have seen that they can build on top of what they have and create phenomenal products and improve their existing products. So Santosh, because you already have domain expertise in some of these banking concepts, my suggestion for you is learn machine learning. Again, I don't know what your background is, whether you studied engineering, whether you studied science, whether you studied mathematics or not. But if you are very comfortable with high school level mathematics or 11th and 12th class mathematics, and if you're passionate about learning mathematics, you can pursue your course. You can pursue this course, but first and foremost, we strongly recommend you check out all the free videos. We cover a lot of programming. We cover a few machine learning techniques. We cover considerable amount of math. Only if you're able to follow that, you can pursue the course. Again, for somebody like you who already has a lot of domain expertise, the one-year PG program also might be very beneficial because it gives you an academic degree, like an academic credential, like a one-year proper academic credential to add to your skill sets, right? Because if you come from a non-engineering, non-computer science background with this sort of expertise, the one-year PG program might be very ideal for you. And I'm sure the University of Hyderabad admissions committee would like to have somebody like you because you bring so much of domain expertise, right? Which the class may not have, right? So that's something that you could consider, but please remember to watch all the free videos. Make sure you're able to follow programming. Make sure you're enjoying the math. Make sure you're following the mathematics and machine learning techniques. Only then you should pursue the course, whether it's the applied AI course or the one-year PG program. If you're not understanding it, this is not right for you. Okay, good. Very good. So Saurabh has a very good question, which is, what is the future of ML, doing EDA, model building, all of it? Because I hear so much about AutoML, AWS SageMaker and all of this. So I've actually done a live session on this, on the future of AutoML. Where is it? It's already there on our YouTube channel. So please check it, where we've discussed this in lots of detail. What AutoML can do today, what tools like SageMaker or any other, like Azure also has something equivalent, what these tools can do and what they can't do also, right? So please check out the detailed live session. I think it's a live session or a video that we have done, I think a few months back. Please check that. But in a nutshell, most AutoML systems or platforms like SageMaker only makes your life better, and it gives you the ability to build machine learning systems faster. They are no way close to replacing even the basic exploratory data analysis that data scientists and data analysts do. We are very, very far away from that. Okay, that's the crux of it. Okay. Cool. So this is from Asif. Very good question, Asif. So he says, I've completed all the assignments and I'm preparing for the second mock interview. Very good. So again, as many of you know, we conduct 2 mock interviews. One mock interview after you complete 15 assignments. One mock interview after you complete all the assignments. And we give you critical feedback on areas to improve. Again, some recruiting managers, again, this is something that I wanted to inform everyone. Some recruiting managers have started asking us for the mock interview feedback. That's why we are writing detailed notes nowadays. Because they are like, okay, we understand that you conduct good mock interviews. Why don't you share us the mock interview notes? Because we want to use that to shortlist candidates. That's why we are asking candidates to prepare very, very well for the mock interviews now. Because some companies, not all, but some recruiting partners ask us for that mock interview feedback. Because for them, it's like, I can reduce the number of interviews that I have to do, right? So, and Asif says, okay, let's continue on the question. Asif says, I come from a non-IT background with about 4 years experience. What can I expect from the applied AI course placement? Very good question. Asif, what we are doing now, I think we conducted a test today, right? So what we're trying to do here is we're convincing recruiting managers to conduct tests. So here today, the test that was conducted was from a company called Fragma Data Systems. So this is a very nice company by ex-IAC alumni who also worked at companies like Goldman Sachs, Infosys, etc. The CEO and their core tech team, a lot of these people are ex-IAC and IIT Bombay. Right? So they want to set up a larger team and they're compensating very well. So we convinced them saying, hey, you guys give us the question paper. Let's conduct a test. Whoever performs best, you should interview. You should try and interview. Let's not look at resumes. So Asif, for somebody like you who comes from a non-CS background, you're not at a disadvantage if you can perform well in some of these tests that we're convincing companies to do. Again, this requires a little bit of convincing, but slowly we're able to conduct these tests for candidates. Sometimes some companies say, hey, we don't want to conduct a 2-hour test. We want to give a task. We are like, perfectly okay. Please give a task and give some deadline. So if you can perform well, if you can, so my recommendation, Asif, for you is please revise all the concepts, perform well in the second mock interview based on the feedback we gave you in the first mock interview. Because you come from a non-CS background, just practice more of programming and try to do well in some of these tests that we are collaborating and conducting with companies, right? If you perform well, the company will interview you and it will be much smoother for you to transition. So we think we can get you placed as long as you're taking our feedback constructively, improving on it. Okay. So this is Yoginath Koya. His question here is, what is the fee for the PG program? Again, I think we mentioned this in the announcement video itself. It's going to be roughly around 78,000 Indian rupees for Indian residents. The fee for for NRIs who are residing outside India and for non-citizens abroad, that fee hasn't been yet finalized. We'll get it in the next 1 week. Mostly by middle of this week or later this week, later the coming week, we'll get those numbers. But for Indian residents, it will be around 78,000. Okay, this exact number we will have it in the application portal itself. It will be around 78,000 for the whole 1 year. Cool. Good. So this is by Arindam. So Arindam says, I have joined with an offer of 5 lakhs per annum from a services-based company. I don't want to, he named the services-based company, but I don't want to name it. It's a top tier services-based company, right? He joined in a role, okay? Is it better for me to join applied AA for a better compensation in ML industry? So Arindam, I don't know the 5 lakhs compensation that you have is in data science roles or it is in a non-data science roles, right? So if it's in a data science role, surely, or if it's even in a non-data science role, and if you're passionate about learning data science, again, the whole course curriculum that we have as part of applied AA course, also the PG program, is such that you should be able to crack even top product-based companies with it, okay? Because so much of the content is based on what actually top product-based companies also ask. So if you go through the content, if you go through all the mathematics, all the applications, all the programming assignments thoroughly, I'm sure you can go significantly beyond the 5 lakhs per annum compensation that you're getting from the top services company now, okay? So I'm sure whether you're, again, if you're in a non-data science role, please note that first check out all the free videos that we have. The free recorded videos and live sessions together, we have close to almost 40 hours now. At least go through 20 hours in that. Okay, if you can skip live sessions, that's okay. Go through the recorded videos. Go through at least 20 hours of that. And assess for yourself if you're able to follow it, if you're enjoying the mathematics, if you're able to go through the whole thing, then only join the course. Otherwise, please don't join. Because you're not doing justice to your whole planning, right? Cool. So this is from Vikas. Vikas says, I have 2 years experience as an SQL developer. How to transform into machine learning roles via applied AI course. Okay, Vikas, that's a good point. Because you worked as an SQL developer, I'm sure you know a lot about data stores, right? Mostly relational databases, right? So if you are, because you worked for 2 years, I'm sure you would have built some data pipelines also in SQL. Okay, if you have not done that, please improve that skill, right? Because SQL is a very, very integral part of data science, right? Because a lot of data is actually residing in relational databases and you have to fetch the data from there, right? So my recommendation to you is, if you already have 2 years experience as SQL developer, learn to build data pipelines. Additionally, please check out all the free content that we have in Applied AI course. If you're able to follow the mathematics and programming, you can certainly join Applied AI course and look for data scientist roles. Okay, I think that those are the more appropriate roles given your prior experience. Cool. So good. This is by Ayush Yadav. Okay, so he says, what problems or projects are required in resume to catch the eye of the recruiter? Very good question, Ayush. Very nice question. So we have done a whole interactive live session where we talked about what types of projects to pick based on your expertise, based on your experience and background. Please check out that. That's a proper 2-hour live session. Please check that. But in general, as a recruiter, what I'm looking for here is, has this person done the case study end to end? Like, I would prefer somebody who has obtained his data on his own instead of just obtaining it from somewhere. Like, for example, let me give an example. I was talking to one of the students today evening. So we were having this discussion and he said, Again, he's a master's degree student at IISc who's also a course enrolled student of ours. So he says, he's doing his first case study with us. And he said, I can just obtain this data from some data store, like it's there online. I said, don't do that, please. Try and obtain the data by crawling the data yourself or by using APIs. So he's doing on some sentiment analysis, some aspect-based sentiment analysis case study, self-case study under our mentorship. And I recommended him, why don't you use Amazon's APIs or crawl Amazon's page, use Beautiful Soup library, obtain the data on your own, because that shows that you can get your hands dirty and get obtained data. So everything from obtaining data, cleaning data, modeling, deployment, if you can, like we are recommending a lot of students recently that please deploy your model somewhere, right? If you can build a simple web-based tool to deploy your model, again, we have done some live sessions based on that recently, right? So we are asking people to even talk about deployment. So one thing that will catch eye of the recruiter is if you're doing an end-to-end thing from data acquisition to productionization, and try to pick up a slightly challenging problem. And in your GitHub and blog, again, always write a technical blog, because technical blog will attract the recruiting manager for sure. Okay, because everybody may not be able to go through all the code. And even in the technical blog, try to implement, for example, if you're implementing, let's say, a complex deep learning algorithm, instead of using someone else's implementation, try to implement yourself from scratch in TensorFlow. That gives the confidence to the recruiting manager that yes, this guy, I can give him a research paper, he'll read it, he can implement the whole architecture from scratch in TensorFlow or PyTorch, right? This is one way for you to catch. So end-to-end building, writing your own code, if you can acquire data on your own through crawling. Again, we have done some case studies on that, on how to build a simple web crawler, how to extract data using tools like Beautiful Soup. We have done a case study, we have done a live session on that, I think maybe a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. Okay, so that's how you can showcase your skills better and catch the eye of the recruiter, as you put it. Okay, so so this is interesting. This is by somebody called Cinderella Man. I think it's an alias, it's not his actual name. So it's a very different profile that he has. So he says, I'm working as marketing automation in analytics field or marketing analytics field. I'm not sure if you have a student from that background. We have some MBAs who work in that marketing and analytics fields. Will your team help me crack marketing analytics field in top companies? Again, Cinderella Man, I think we will have to understand your background, what you know, what you don't know, and what is typically expected from marketing analytics firms, right? Because again, we have built marketing tools using machine learning data science. So I think we can only recommend you whether our course is appropriate for you or not by talking to you. I don't think I'll be able to do it in this session. So feel free to call us on the phone number at appliedaicourse.com so that we can understand this better. Again, we are not experts in every field. Surely we are not experts in marketing analytics. We know how marketing analytics works. We know because I have personally worked, and some of my team members also worked in building computational advertising tools for companies like Amazon, IBM, etc. Right? So we know some of that, but we don't know what you exactly mean by marketing analytics here in top companies. So it's better to discuss that over phone. Cool. Very good. So this is by Gokul Kate. Okay, he says, do we need to know machine learning system design for entry-level machine learning engineering roles in product-based companies? You don't have to know. Gokul, for top product-based companies, they're only looking at 3-4 things. They're looking, can you code well? If you come from a CS background, do you know computer science, data structures, algorithms? If you don't come from CS background, can you write Python code? Right? Basically, mostly problem solving through coding is what they test. They test your breadth of understanding of machine learning. What all techniques do you know? In the whole, because there are thousands of techniques, right? Your breadth of understanding. They also look at the mathematical depth of your understanding. How well do you understand these things? If I change the optimization function slightly, can you figure out what's happening? Right? Those, and of course, they also check your understanding of foundational mathematics, probability, statistics, etc. They are not looking for system design. They don't do it even for software engineers, right? It is only at software engineer 3 at top product-based companies, which is like people with at least 6-7 years experience, that they actually test system design questions. They don't do it for freshers. So they will not do it. But if you know it, it is certainly additional value add. They will not test machine learning system design at top product-based companies for freshers. They will not. But if you know it, nothing bad. It will surely help you build stronger case studies. Okay. Okay, this is by Pratyush, right? So Pratyush, this is a good question. So what will be the case like if I have already enrolled in applied AI course and also want to pursue the PG program? Again, Pratyush, I think we have mentioned this. All the students who are currently part of the applied AI course, you can apply for the PG program. Again, the admissions decision will be made by the admissions committee or panel at UOH. We cannot participate in it. It is their decision to make it. If you are admitted, since you are already a course participant in the applied AI course, we will surely give you some discount. Okay, that needs to be figured out by us based on the course fee and other things, right? So we'll surely give you a discount on the course fee or a sort of like a refund like mechanism. We are still working out the exact details of how to do that. But if you're already a course enrolled student, again, if you're a course enrolled student and if you want to get an academic credential, the 1-year PG program makes a lot of sense, right? Because you're getting a proper certificate. So at the end of the program, the university gives you University of Hyderabad has pursued, so and so person has pursued the 1-year PGD in AI and machine learning. And this is his, like they'll say first class or first division with distinction, first division. They'll say all that and they'll give you a mark sheet, just like your BTech or MTech. So the good thing with UOH is they follow all the UGC norms. Okay, so you'll get proper certificate, proper mark sheet, all of that. So if you are already a course enrolled student applied AI course, you can surely perform better in the 1-year PG program because you already know some of the concepts here, right? See how far, again, there will be a considerable overlap between what we cover in applied AI course and what we are going to cover in the 1-year PG program. There will surely be an overlap because our applied AI course is so exhaustive and rigorous. Of course, there might be some additional concepts there from a theoretical standpoint because we have some phenomenal faculty members who will also teach, right? So if you're a course enrolled student applied AI course and if you're looking for a strong academic credential, the 1-year PG program can surely help you. And you also have an advantage because you have gone through the applied AI course partly or fully. If you have already completed applied AI course, since you've gone through it, you can perform very well there and you should try and get first division with distinction. I think if you have gone through the applied AI course thoroughly, you can easily crack that because I've seen the examinations that UOH conducts for their MTech in AI program. So they have an MTech in AI program, which they take admissions through GATE, right? For that MTech in AI program, I've seen the midterm exams, the semester end exams. Anybody who has gone through our course should be able to answer most of those questions. So you have an advantage over others, right? Because you've already gone through the course, you have an advantage in getting better academic credentials. Cool. Good. So, can we do this course along with MTech course as I'm preparing for the upcoming GATE 2020? Again, this is from Chandra Dugineni. So Chandra, as I was just telling you earlier, right? We have a lot of students from top institutes like Indian Institute of Science, IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, few NITs, BITS, etc., who pursue our course as part of their BTech program or MTech program. Because they know that this course prepares them better for cracking product-based company machine learning roles. So we have a lot of students from some of these universities. As I was giving an example of a student that I was talking to in the evening, right? So he's doing some case study under our mentorship. He's currently pursuing his master's degree 2nd year or 3rd semester at Indian Institute of Science, right? So we have a lot of students who do that. So you can pursue this course in parallel to MTech. I would recommend you do it as part of your MTech 1st year so that you are better prepared for placements that come in 2nd year. Cool. So Kranti, very good question. I have 2 years experience in big data. Can I expect a hike from 5 lakhs to 15 lakhs? Very good question. I'm happy you asked this, Kranti. So in a nutshell, your compensation, whatever your skills are, see in big data itself, right? You can go from 5 lakhs to 15 lakhs. You don't have to, I mean, let's be realistic here, right? If you know, for example, if you can design in big data, let's assume you're using Spark and NoSQL databases. If you know the internals of Spark, if you can implement state-of-the-art scalable algorithms in Spark, you can go from 5 lakhs to 15 lakhs in big data itself. Why not? Right? So again, big data engineers at top product-based companies, the starting compensation is about 18 to 20 lakhs. For fresher, not even experienced candidate. For fresher, it's close to 18 to 20 lakhs. So what you have to focus on is your skills. Most likely you're getting 5 lakhs compensation. Most likely, I'm not saying always, most likely because you don't have the depth of understanding of big data. For example, can you, some of the interview questions that you can expect for big data engineers, because in my earlier team at Amazon, we had sort of good big data engineers. So we would ask them, we would give them an algorithm and say, hey, implement this using the basic functionality of Spark. Okay. Or we'll say, hey, here is a real world problem. What NoSQL database will you use and why? And how do you design the whole basic NoSQL system? These are the questions that you would expect in top product-based companies. You have to understand under the hood how Spark works. You have to understand how under the hood, how Cassandra works, or how Elasticsearch works, or how Redis works. You have to understand things under the hood. You just can't say, hey, I'm just going to call a function. No. So you can go from, in big data itself, you can go from 5 lakhs to 15 lakhs. You can also go in machine learning. Wherever you go, you have to have the depth of understanding. Again, if you're a big data engineer, if you're considering machine learning roles, it's a great match, because in a lot of companies in machine learning roles, they do use big data platforms. So you can consider something like a machine learning engineer role. But again, you have to become decently good in big data, and you have to know the mathematics and applications of machine learning. You have to balance both. So there are a couple of questions that I wanted to answer from emails also. 1 second. So this is from, this is a slightly technical question. This is from, what is the name? This is from Kshitij. He's from IIT Jaipur, IITJ. I think IITJ is IIT Jaipur, I think. Okay, so let's look at his question. He says, can you elaborate on self-driving car projects by giant companies like Google and Tesla? Again, I don't think I can explain it in brief here. Probably we'll do a live session, or I'll put out a video giving you more reference links to it, right? So similarly, some famous research papers in NLP and computer vision that can be implemented. One suggestion that I'll give you is go to this thing called Archive Sanity. Okay, so just Google search for Archive Sanity. It's a very nice portal, okay, where you can look at the top research papers in NLP, machine learning, deep learning, computer vision, etc. Pick any of those major research papers and implement it using TensorFlow, PyTorch, whatever you want. Okay, feel free to implement them. That's one place. The other thing that I would recommend, again, this is a very common question that we get from students. One of the questions that we get from students is, I already know some machine learning and deep learning. How do I pick research papers to study? So my recommendation to you is this. This is what I do. Archive Sanity by Andre Karpathy. Andre Karpathy now heads the self-driving car division at Tesla. Phenomenal computer scientist. And Andre Karpathy built this Archive Sanity. That's one place that I look at to get some good research papers that I want to read. Like I try to read at least one paper a week. That's my typical run rate. Okay. So that's one thing. Other place what I do is I follow all these top machine learning divisions and machine learning researchers on Twitter. So you can go to my Twitter handle. It's CSK Verma. So look at all the people I follow. I follow Jeff Dean at Google. I follow Jeffrey Hinton. I follow Yan Lee Kuhn. I follow Google AI blog. I follow DeepMind. I follow Facebook AI research. I follow Carnegie Mellon's machine learning division. I follow all the top researchers. And when these people post a research paper, right, that's a very strong indicator for me that this paper must be interesting, right? And I try to pick one of those papers every week and try to read them. Okay. So if you want to implement any of these papers, you can pick any of the top research papers from Archive Sanity, etc., and implement it. That's a great thing to do, to showcase your skills that, hey, I can take a research paper and implement it. Okay, cool. So good. So Viraj Jadhav has a very good question. Can you elaborate on the thesis part of the syllabus in the 1-year PGD? So this thesis is a semester-long thesis which has 8 credits. It has the largest number of credits amongst all the subjects. This PG thesis can be one of the two. It can be an industry-oriented project or it can be a research-oriented project. You have the flexibility. We have a pool of mentors and one of us will mentor. Some of them will be from University of Hyderabad faculty, some of them from the Applied AI course team, some of them from the industry, right? So this is a project that you will work on for 6 months. Again, those of you who are looking to pursue a higher degree, like an MS in the US or a PhD, could look for more research-oriented thesis. people who are looking for jobs can do more industry-oriented, implementation-specific thesis. This thesis will be like a proper thesis, and the evaluation of the thesis also, the thesis supervisor, whoever is assigned to you, will be given 50% of marks. 50% of marks will be for the final presentation, viva, and the external examiner. Okay, this external examiner could be anybody from University of Hyderabad or the industry. Okay, so that's how this whole PG thesis, again, this thesis, since it's a semester-long thesis, it's actually 8-credit course. It has the most credits than any other course that we have. We have 5 other courses with 5 into 6, 30 credits, one thesis 8 credits. So this is going to be a big chunk of your work, especially in the second semester. Cool. So this is Anvesh, right? So Anvesh asks, can Applied AI team help me applying in companies after completing 15 assignments and 1 case study? So are there students who get a job after completing half the course? Anvesh, there are some students who get after completing half the course and the first mock interview, but we do not encourage that much, because once you complete 15 assignments, you still have a lot of deep learning that you have to learn. Right? Most likely you have not completed all the deep learning assignments and all the case studies that are part of the course, right? So we want you to complete those so that when you go to an interview, you're better prepared. Like, the reason we don't encourage you there is because you could go to an interview, mess up the interview because you didn't complete the other assignments. You're not comfortable with, let's say, transformers or LSTMs or some of these concepts, and then the company won't interview for again 6 months or 1 year. You're losing out on that. Right? We don't want to lose out because you're half prepared. That's why we don't encourage that. But we have some students who apply on their own who get jobs, which is perfectly all right. But there is this risk. We have also seen students who halfway through the course apply. They're not well prepared for the interviews. They go, the first interview itself is about, the interviewer asks something about LSTMs or some deep learning concept, and these guys are not well prepared. They mess up the interview and they're like, hey, I missed my chance. So we don't encourage that. Okay, because we don't want you to lose out on an opportunity. Cool. So Sonu Singh, his question here is, I'm currently working as a DevOps engineer. Would it be helpful to switch into data science with average coding skills? Again, Sonu, why don't you look for ML ops roles? Okay, so there is this whole new roles that is being created called machine learning ops. And the objective here is, again, we see some DevOps people, some of our students also, with machine learning knowledge, with basic programming. Again, I'm assuming you're a mediocre coder, okay, because you mentioned that, right? So if you're a mediocre coder, if you know DevOps well, if you have prior experience in DevOps, by knowing machine learning algorithms and how they work, you can target ML ops roles. Again, ML ops, just like DevOps, what DevOps is for software engineering, ML ops is for ML systems. And it's a new field that is becoming more and more popular as more and more complex machine learning systems are being architected and being deployed and maintained, right? So that's one role. Because you mentioned that you're an average coder, that is something that you can look at. Of course, for that role, you need to know DevOps for sure. You need to improve your coding skills slightly, and you need to understand all the libraries and the machine learning also. Because as a DevOps engineer, if you don't know the latencies behind machine learning algorithms, what works, what doesn't scale, right? You have to understand all these so as to be able to apply that in an ML ops situation, right? So recently we covered some concepts like Docker, right? How to deploy using Docker containers, etc. in some of our recent live sessions. That was primarily targeted towards students who are looking for ML ops roles. Okay? Because you already have experience, that's a neat role that you can transition gracefully into. Cool. So this is by Dhaval Shah. So he says, I'm an Android developer with 5 years experience. Would this course be beneficial for me? Very nice. So Dhaval, you have a very interesting experience because you're an Android developer. Look at this. More and more of machine learning and deep learning will be deployed on smartphones. Okay, it's already happening, but our personal belief is in the next 5 years, you will see a lot more of machine learning and deep learning being deployed on the edge, by which I mean on the smartphones. Again, smartphones are also becoming better and better, right? Your Qualcomm 865s, your Apple A13s and A14s, they're very, very powerful. Okay, they have a dedicated AI chips now. So because you already know Android development, for Android developers, even TensorFlow that we cover in our course videos, there's something called TensorFlow Lite. TensorFlow Lite is basically you train a model in TensorFlow, you train a deep learning model in TensorFlow, and you can deploy it to Android devices, to iOS devices, and to IoT devices. That's what it is designed for. So because you have Android developer experience, if you can pick up machine learning, again, please watch the free videos that we have, because you should be able to understand Python programming, which I'm sure you can understand because you have 5 years experience as an Android developer, most likely with Java and native C++, right? But also look at the math part. If you're enjoying the math, if you're able to follow the math, then the course is beneficial for you, and you can gracefully transition from an Android developer to a machine learning Android developer, because we strongly believe that that sort of roles will start soon, and I think there will be a boom in those roles in the next 5 years. Because there is a lot of IoT, Android and iOS stuff that's going to happen in the next 5 years. Again, with RISC-V architecture or RISC-V architecture, with more and more complex Qualcomm chips and Apple A13, A14, maybe A15 next year chips, I think deep learning on the edge or on the devices is the next hot topic. Okay. So cool. So, so this is by Arun. Okay, very nice question, Arun. So what are the good case studies for data analyst role? So let's look at this data analyst role. As a data analyst, there are 2-3 things that are important for you. First is obviously your coding skills, Python coding and SQL. Okay, so try and write scripts to obtain the data yourself using APIs. Okay, whatever project you pick up, try to obtain the data yourself if you can. Okay, or try to use some proper database, write SQL queries to build a small data pipeline. Number 1. Number 2, do thorough exploratory data analysis using all statistics that you know, using hypothesis testing. Do thorough data analysis. Try and answer the key important questions using data analysis. Do a lot of data visualization and plotting. That's very, very important. Okay. So in your case study, there should be some component of Python and SQL, mostly data acquisition or data cleaning and things like that. Data analysis through exploratory data analysis using statistics, using plotting, then data visualization. And if you can apply simple models, I'm not saying apply a deep learning model, apply simple linear regression, simple logistic regression, or simple k-means. That's it. If it's a clustering problem, apply k-means, classification, logistic regression, or apply KNN, and come up with insights on which features are important for your task. That's it. That's a good case study for a data analyst role. You don't have to do so you should focus more on data analysis or exploratory data analysis using statistics, and feature importance using basic models. Of course, you should also try and focus on your SQL and Python skills. Okay, so that's what I would recommend. Okay, cool. Very good. So Praveen has a very good question. Please help me in choosing between MS in AI in a European university in Italy and the 1-year PG program. I am a regular employee at a top service-based MNC. Please share your feedback with experience. Again, so Praveen, one of my fundamental concerns with masters in European universities is the job market. Okay. So I've seen some people who went to the top universities in Europe, like Oxford, Cambridge, INRIA in France, like ETH in Zurich, right? So if you go to the top universities in Europe, like top 5-6 universities, job is not a problem, because even companies like Amazon go there and hire candidates. But if you don't go to a top-notch university, if you go to a next-level university, the job market is not very encouraging in Europe. Is not very encouraging, because I've seen some of our students from Europe who have struggled a little in finding a job because we don't have job guarantee program there, right? Number 1. Number 2, with Britain or UK going out of the Eurozone, you will not be able to look for jobs in London and other parts of UK, like in Scotland. So you're stuck to only the Eurozone. Okay, that might reduce your number of opportunities, and that's a concern I have. So before you join this European university, talk to students who have just graduated from the university or who are about to graduate and ask about job opportunities. That's very, very important. If you don't have job opportunities, you take so much loan to go pursue a master's degree in Europe, and That loan is always a burden. If you cannot get a good job there, you'll have to come back and the loan becomes a burden. Okay, so that's a very important thing that you have to do before you consider all of this. And if the European university is good with respect to getting their students placed or students finding jobs, certainly go for the European university, because it's a 2-year MS degree. But if the placements there are not very good, or if students who are graduating are not finding jobs very easily, the 1-year PG program is better because it's cheaper, number one. Number two, it's very, very academically rigorous, and it will help you get into machine learning roles because it's a very strong academic credential. Okay, cool. Okay, so so this is a good question. So this is by Kumar13677. Okay, he says, I'm having 8+ years of experience in manual and then Python automation testing with a current compensation of about 20 lakhs per annum. So I'm sure either this is in a top product based company or maybe in a good startup, right? So what are my chances of getting a job in AI ML industry? Again, anybody who has an experience like you should try to build on your skills. With 8 years, I'm sure you have learned a lot about automation testing in Python. Since you already built automation testing systems in Python, you should now go from a Python tester, Python automation tester, probably you're a senior tester, right, to a machine learning testing, right? So the difference between a software engineering tester and a machine learning tester is the machine learning tester has to do all the software engineering tests. In addition to that, he has to do testing of machine learning components. Whether it's a unit tests that you have to write, again, to write this, you have to understand how the algorithm works, because you don't want to always do black box tests, right? You want to go through each line of code and say, hey, this implementation is correct, or this implementation has these problems, right? Of course, you can automate your testing. So I think a logical transition for you is to go from Python automation testing to a machine learning automation testing type of roles. And I would recommend you try to do it as part of your current role or slowly transition from that, right? What I mean by that is, probably today you're doing something which has 100% of Python code. Tomorrow you can go to a role where there is 70% of Python code, 30% of machine learning and data science components. And slowly you will go into a role, because then you're not leaving all the learnings that you have in the last 8 years. You're building on top of these skills. That's very, very important for experienced folks. Don't just ditch all the experience and expertise you have, right? So you can transition. You can surely transition, and I'm sure your compensation also will raise, right? Because as a Python automation tester, if you're making 20 lakhs, I'm sure you're a very good Python tester, right? So based on that data point, I'm sure if you build your machine learning expertise, you can jump up. Cool. So sounds good. So the next question here is, why less? Oh, this is by Vineet. I think I answered some of these questions earlier. Why are there less computer vision roles in India and more machine learning data science roles focusing on NLP? Very good question. And what skill set should somebody with computer vision expect? Very good question. We also got an email with some similar questions. So again, computer vision itself, like we have some students. I think we also posted a success story of a fresher who joined as a computer vision engineer, I think, like just maybe 2-3 weeks back on our YouTube channel. So I'm not saying there are no computer vision roles, but there are fewer of them, right? There are significantly fewer of them. I'm not saying there are none. And a lot of times people who join as a machine learning engineer or a deep learning engineer end up doing computer vision. For example, when I was part of Amazon's machine learning team, I did computer vision whenever computer vision was needed. I did NLP whenever NLP was needed. So there are fewer positions with dedicated computer vision focus. So if the company is building core computer vision products only, then they will have a role called computer vision engineer. Otherwise, they'll just call machine learning engineer. And again, for a typical machine learning or a deep learning engineer, or even a data scientist, you're expected to know how computer vision works. You're expected to know convolutional neural networks. You're expected to know ResNets. You're expected to know all these concepts, right? Without doubt, you have to know them. Because after you join a company, you might have a small module which requires computer vision that you need to build. But there are typically lesser roles, because in India, we are not just in India, even in the US, right? We don't have a lot of manufacturing here. It is the manufacturing companies that have visual cameras or infrared cameras that look at stuff and try to decide what is happening. What we have is a lot of services industry in India, wherein there is a huge treasure trove of text data. text or speech data in some cases, right? So that's why NLP roles are more often seen in India than computer vision roles. If you go to a country like Germany, right? I'm sure Germany has a few NLP roles, but they also have a lot of computer vision and robotics, machine learning, deep learning roles, because it's a very industry heavy, like they build a lot of high-end equipment, right? Same thing with Switzerland, right? I don't know about China because I don't know that market very well, right? But I've seen a lot of people, because I used to interview for Amazon Europe offices for machine learning and deep learning folks, and I've seen a lot of computer vision folks from there, right? So there is more of computer vision in those parts of the world and more of NLP roles in India, but whatever it is, you have to know the basics of computer vision. You have to know the core architectures in computer vision. You have to know the core architectures in NLP for any machine learning, deep learning role. Okay, sounds good. So couple of more emails. What is the time now? It's 8:15. Let me try to answer a few more questions. This is a nice question. This is by Prince Gupta. He shared an email with us, I think 3-4 hours back. He says, will job assistance be based on how strong my resume is? Very nice question. So he says, do you give more preference to candidates who have stronger resumes and less preference to candidates who have weaker resumes? Actually, for candidates who have stronger resumes, it's easier for us to place them, actually, to be honest with you. Because they already have a very strong resume. They might have graduated from a top university, or they might have graduated with very strong academic credentials, right? So for us to place them is easier because we just have to share the resume and we have to share our feedback from our interviews and how they performed in our course, and interviewers will easily pick them up. It is the people who have weaker credentials. Maybe their academic credentials are not strong, or maybe they come from a non-CS background sometimes, or non-engineering background altogether, or they have some career gaps, right? It is those people for whom we put more effort, actually. Okay. So what we've been doing, as I mentioned a while ago, right? What we've been doing right now over the last 2 to 3 months is whenever we work with a hiring manager to recruit our students, we are saying, please don't just look at resume, because we have some brilliant candidates whose resume may not look good. Why don't we be meritocratic? So just like the one that I was mentioning a while ago, we ask them to conduct a test, or we ask them, give a task, let them answer, give them 24 hours time, right? So we are moving into this model of convincing hiring managers to conduct a test or give an evaluation task, because it helps candidates who have career gaps and less strong resumes. But at the end of the day, you have to know the concepts. If you don't know the concepts, nobody can help you. Let's be realistic about it. Again, in some mock interviews, we give this feedback. First mock interview, somebody doesn't perform well. We say, hey, for the second mock interview, you're weak here, here. Please come prepared. So we have seen some students who improve. Some students don't take that. And then we again tell them after second mock interview, please focus on this, please focus on this. People who take our suggestions get placed very quickly, right? So that's what I would recommend, Prince. Cool. Where is this? So this is another question. Okay, this is a very nice question from Samihan Javalkar. Okay, so I promised him that we'll answer the question in his live session. So he says, my question is whether to study for GRE and go to the US for a master's degree, or have a data science job, or whether to learn your course and data science job here in India. What do you think are the pros and cons of each? Again, my recommendation for you is, if you can get a good university in the US, and if you can get a master's degree in computer science or a master's degree in data science and machine learning, that's a better option. Simple reason. If you're getting a good university there, the university credential is very, very strong, and you'll get a good job after that, right? Because you'll prepare for GRE for a while, crack it. In next 2 to 3 years, I'm sure some of the COVID stuff also will be resolved, right? So if you can perform well in GRE, if you have good academic credentials, and if you can get a good US university, if not the top 10, if you can get top 50 universities also, that's okay. Top 50 universities for computer science. If you can get one of these good universities, I would recommend you do that. Okay, that's what I would personally recommend. Cool. So 1 second. Okay, so I've answered this question by Adish. Okay. Anything else that I missed here? I'm just looking at my email. Just give me a second, folks. Oh, this is a nice question from Satyaki. I also promised him that we'll answer his question. So his question here is that I'm somebody who has a career break and I'm also preparing. He worked for about a few years at a services company and then currently he's preparing for GATE. He says, if I get GATE, very good. If I don't get into GATE, what should I do? What is my situation with career break? Again, Satyaki, to be realistic, career break is something that is a point of concern for recruiters. Let's be realistic there. If you can justify that, I think you're good. Since you're already preparing for GATE, right, you have two options. If you're prepared well for at least some subjects of GATE, for example, if you've prepared data structures algorithms well for that, try to get into a good software engineering role, because what most software engineering companies ask is data structures algorithms, right? So try to apply. You're certainly at a small disadvantage because you have a career break of almost a year, right? I think almost a year, yes. From the numbers you gave, you'll have 1 year career break, but just be truthful. Inform the recruiting manager that I prepared for GATE, I got so and so rank. But if you're prepared for GATE even reasonably well, right, you should be able to crack, if not top product based companies, good startups, because you should be strong in data structures and algorithms. That's one path that you can take. Again, to be realistic, there is some disadvantage if you have career breaks, but if you have the right skills and if you can prove your skills and if you can justify your break with reasonable arguments, I think you can get into jobs. We see a lot of students with 2 years, 3 years career breaks who have learned from the course very, very well and who have gone on to do very well, right? So it's possible, but at its very core, you're at a slight disadvantage. The more gap, the more disadvantage. Okay, that's why, as I mentioned, right, we're asking companies to conduct exams or give a task so that we can do it better. Okay, so folks, it's already 8:20. I think we are almost 80 minutes into the discussion now. So again, our team has been answering some of the questions in the chat window. I am sure that we could not cover everything. Our team helped me in picking a wide spectrum of questions so that we address issues that different students have. Anything that we could not cover today in this live session, please understand that this is nothing against anybody. We just wanted to cover a wide spectrum of questions, right? So anything that we could not answer, feel free to email us at team@appliedaicourse.com. Just go to our website, appliedaicourse.com. You have the email address at the top. Shoot us. We'll try to answer you as quickly as possible, right? Again, today is Sunday, right? So we'll try to answer you within the next 24 hours. Okay. Feel free to ask us questions. We'll try and answer as best as we can. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you very much, folks. Thank you very much for your time. Bye-bye.